whole bunch of high flying action there. I love DeHang's expression, as always. Anything that stuck out to you specifically, ZSX, from that collection of highlights?
Cypher Cooler,
Oh,
003. Pretty
I, th-
unexpected.
I think a lot of people are scratching their heads at that, and they're like, huh. Cooler 3-0, huh? We haven't really seen that from him, but his ability to just turn it on and say, "All right, I'm winning this, and I'm winning this, big time," is pretty crazy. Chain going off the chain as always. Rafa being Rafa, still yet to drop a map on the Americas side. Absolutely insane. And then Spart1e. I mean, we got to talk about Spart1e. He may be coming up here shortly. The rails. That guy can just pop off with rails. I know Railson is very popular to most people, but Spart1e, I think, just his rail is just something else sometimes.
Yeah, but it's more the way he uses it. Like, you're right in the way in which Kilson's renowned for it, but the way Spart1e plays so aggressively with that weapon leaves him incredibly vulnerable, but at the same time incredibly effective if and when he hits it. It's kind of like a bit of a roulette with Spart1e. You never really know what you're going to get, but you can see him sitting pretty kind of in the mid-level. So he's doing a lot better than previous seasons and seems to be finding a bit more consistency. And it can spiral out of control really quickly for him. But as you say, if he goes on and he does pop off, then suddenly you've got a very scary Swedish man running at you.
We've got quite the party here. Let's jump back into those standings on the EU side there. I think we got a flash of it, but my old man eyes, we couldn't lock in as much as we'd like to. So let's take a quick look there, and there is the breakdown. Again, we are about 4 weeks out from Stage 1 finals here. It's getting close. Everyone trying to get the last-minute map wins, series wins, everything they can. If you take a look at that, anything surprising? I think probably for me, Tox not winning his set yet?
Yeah, it's not surprising. I think on form, he's probably or has been the weakest in the EU region for quite a while. And now you've broken it down, EUNA, you see how low he has been sitting historically in there. Obviously, Avec is at the bottom, but that's because he's had to miss a few weeks. Apart from that, Cypher sitting below Spart1e, not doing as well. Cooler, as we said in the outset, only winning that one last week. But Wenger finding his stride, sitting right at the very top. And he's got a big encounter today. But if he can take that on, then he's really solidifying himself because Rezi's got a week off.
Yeah, the Maestro boys on top. I mean, the thing about Tox not winning a set yet, but if you watch the series he plays, he has the lead in most of the maps for about 6-7 minutes, and then it all goes horribly wrong. And it seems to be a consistent thing with him, and you got to wonder at what point he can kind of close out the game, shore up whatever problems he has, dust it off and say, all right, I'm going to finish this. I'm going to finish what I started, kind of a thing. But why don't we hop over to the Americas, take a look at their standings and how my NA boys are doing and how that gets broken down. Again, Rafa not dropping a single map yet.
No, but I'm really happy to see Chain solidifying that position at number one, representing Canada. He's had it a long time coming, and yes, he's not performing as well as Rafa, but with that extra week in hand, has got number one spot. Nosfer and Maxter, 4 and 5, representing South America. That's really good effort, and it's so close throughout. But to see Dramus at the bottom, he needs to step up a little bit more. He's obviously come off a bit of a win last week, which was really good for his confidence. But they were the first 3 maps he'd actually taken this series, so needs to look at himself. He obviously progressed really nicely through stage 2 last year, maybe stage 1, and have been slowly, maybe plateauing a little bit, but the rest of the scene is definitely stepping up in A and making it even more challenging.
Definitely. Why don't we take a look at what we got going on today? Again, Sundays are for Quake. Action-packed as always, and we're going to start off with Spart1e base. Both players coming off big wins, respectively, from last week. Effortless Dewey, Chain Zanaku, Wenger, Avec. Again, the return of the hair. Cygib, Nosfa, Cooler, and Toxic. That should be a good one. And then Cypher and Kilson, the last two. Again, the show matches for the day where DJ Wheat's going to hop in and give us the gift of the gab. What is going to be kind of what you're looking for today in terms of matchups? What are you looking forward to most, CSX?
Definitely looking forward to seeing Wenger playing today. He's got a tough opponent, and it's just interesting to watch him keep on pulling results out of his ass a little bit. He's just come on
ever
so
so
well.
Gently.
And I just really enjoy him. Obviously, the key matchups at the end of the day are going to be big, but yeah, keen to see Wenger. But it just feels like the whole competition every single week begins to get closer. You look at that list, and it never feels like anyone now has an easy matchup. So it's a tough ride for everyone, and people stepping down the leaderboards now need to look at themselves and understand what they need to do to start taking maps, because there's been a lot of 3-0s in the early stages. some people not taking maps until very recently, and we're week 10 now. That's not good enough for a lot of players.
Yeah, the end is nigh, a month away from the battle from the belt. But let's take a look at our first matchup a little more closely here. Spart1e versus Base. Let's get into the pick bans. Let's take a look at what we have in front of us here. This should be a good one. Again, as you mentioned earlier, kind of Spart1e able to play super aggressive with that rail. If he hits, everything's great. If not, it's all going to go horribly wrong. And that's kind of the exact opposite of how Base plays. Much more strategic Base, not really aim heavy. But if Base hits all of his shots, as you said previously, it's just going to be a nightmare for whoever he's playing because he's got the strategy and the aim.
Yeah, and that's why it's always really interesting to see these two go head to head, and it is such a conflict of styles, as you say, that for me it definitely favors the way in which Base plays in his relatively risk-averse pattern, and if he can hit his shots, and when as vulnerable as Spart1e leaves himself, he can find himself actually in a quite tricky situation. But as much as we talked about his rail, he's the one to pick the map without the rail, going up on Corrupted Keep. And one of the reasons for that is that it's a map that Base will find incredibly hard to play as defensive as he wants to. It's a map where Spart1e can set the tempo. And so I'm really interested to see how he plays that. He's picked the Anarchy up against the Galena, so one would expect the Spart1e to go pretty damn aggressive off the bat and try and set the tempo for the game.
Yeah, we see map number 2 on Ruins is going to be Visor versus BJ. Usually, not all the time, Base will actually whip out a Keel on Ruins, but he went with BJ this time. I'm wondering kind of what he has up his sleeve there. BJ not really bad by any stretch of the imagination, but I love my boy Keel, so I'm a little heartbroken that we won't get to see him on that one. And then it looks like Awoken, Strog versus Doom to round it out for map number 3. I think this should be a great set, but first off, we're going to start off, as you said, Corrupted Keep, no rail. That breaks my heart because I wanted to see Spart1e come out of the gate with 90%, 95% rail.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's probably my favorite map. I really do enjoy maps with that rail because it just presents a whole different level of strategy that players need to adapt to. I do hear that clunking sound in the background, so we'll be going in, but I want Spart1e to play aggressive. I want to pick the tempo up, and I want to see Base react to that. So,
I mean, we're here. Predictions? What do you say about this set, ZSX?
I think Base is going to take it. I think it'll be a 3-0 if I'm honest, but I wouldn't be surprised if it just creeped in a 2-1.
Okay, that's fair. I think I'm going to go Spart1e 2-1 because I think we can never agree on anything. I don't think it's allowed. I'm getting word from the producer, yes, it's not allowed. So 2-1 Spart1e in my opinion, but I think you could be right. It really depends on how well Spart1e plays and how much he hits because he is very aim dependent. But I think we're going to hop in the game. Corrupted Keep, map number 1. I think we're just about ready. Sundays are for Quake, ZSX. Let's get this underway. I have been waiting a long time, an entire week for this one. Spart1e versus Base on Corrupted Keep.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Spart1e's life being very hard going up against Base. He's got to be wary of those totems. He nearly drops onto one. They are particularly strong up against the Anarchy, the light stack, and Base has already found him. He's in a little bit of trouble because the ejector's already been popped. Base is going to back off, and they are left equally low. Spart1e's a little bit fortunate to get out alive.
Very, very close there. Both players down to 25 HP before they restack. 10 seconds till the inject for Spart1e. He's running a little bit low on LG cells, but if he catches out Base, it might be enough. Shotgun around the corner, just missing out. The totem's back, but the shotgun blast, wow, shreds him. Up one early, almost gets the chance for the second frag, and he does as he drops down, and 2 more shotgun blasts before the totem can do anything. And Spart1e up early here, and this is the momentum that he wants.
100%. And he needs to keep this tempo up. Base will definitely be desperate to slow the tempo down. If I switch over to him, he is just hiding out in the banana corridor. Spart1e, knowing that there's no totem up as well, has a little bit more freedom to push Base, knowing there isn't that extra stack to fall back on. Not being able to find his opponent, though, he will go back to rotating the items. He has only a small split of time to get across. He doesn't even want to push the Mega. Realizing Base is out of position, though, does now realize he can jump onto that Mega and also increase the split.
Here's the chase. Can the rockets land? A little bit off target, but Base is so weak. Spart1e just needs to catch him. There's the totem for a little bit of healing. Spart1e trying to take care of that with a Tri-Bolt, a little bit of LG. Tri-Bolt can't decide what he wants to frag Base with, but the inject and the armor come out, and so many rockets from Base. That's a good fight for him, and the defensive rocket says, get off me, and that'll put Base on the board.
And there's a time and a place to go aggressive, and that unfortunately was not it. Giving away 3 frags to Base. The follow-up is there, and already Base is in the lead. That's just not what was required from the Swede. He's going to carry on with the tempo here. You can see the pace in which Spart1e wants to play it, but without the inject up, again, it's relatively futile. I think he realized that Base did use.
There it is. Spart1e capitalizes. Very weak, though. Does get 225s. Needs to be careful. Here's the shotgun blast. Could be enough. One more. Almost did it as Base fends him off for the Mega. This is high flying right here, but the rocket's not quite enough as Base again closes in 5-3. Spart1e spawns, gets a shotgun, injects, and he wants more action. Spart1e, relentless, fearless, as he just wants to fight all the time, but the LG says no, back away, not today, Disco Lady, as Spart1e gets driven off here. He's going to try and rain down some tri-bolt. There's the cutoff on the armor. That rocket was fantastic, and the shotgun follow-up will net him the frag 4-5. Spots him out in the red room. Can he get some damage? There's a little bit with the rocket and the shotgun, as Base trying to nail gun his way towards freedom here. 4-5, the rockets, the shotgun, and the trade comes out.
I would really like Spart1e to check his tempo a little bit here, because this chaos is actually benefiting Base somewhat. Without that additional utility of the inject up, these pushes are relatively futile, so definitely needs to make a little bit of a check on the way in which he's approaching this.
Nice little fake there, as Base was expecting telly, and Spart1e was like, nope, there's a Mega here, I'm going to grab that. It takes care of the totem as well, that's going to be important. Needs to stay on top of that, as Base doesn't have any totem economy going. And overstack on this map is probably harder than others given, you know, the size of it, but if you can somehow get that going, Base would have a tremendous advantage.
Yeah, we're not going to
doing a good job.
We're not going to see that, because the way in which Spart1e is playing is actually forcing Base to use those totems relatively defensively. He's forced to use them in combat situations, and so they're always being diminished as soon as he drops them, but the effectiveness of the HP is still there, because every time he's using it, he's basically getting a full stack. So
I wonder what that cute fake rocket jump was here. Spart1e has a great stack, trying to get in and do some damage. There's the machine gun swap. Base so hurt, 25 HP. Inject comes out. Can he find him around the corner? And he does. A little bit of a tickle right before the heavy's up as well. Well done from Spart1e.
Oh, we didn't hear it.
Still down one.
Oh no, he got greedy.
No!
Oh
no! I like the idea, but yeah, he wanted to get the armor and then double back for the heavy, and Base swooped in, and look at the stacks and how they have just tremendously flipped, and this is terrible for Spart1e.
I mean, Base got the perfect spawn and weapon, but I think he saw Spart1e in his death cam actually moving away from the heavy, realized what was going on, and perfect read from Base. And ever since the first minute or two, you can see the way in which Base has been adjusting his play. He's just stood up, he's taken these ultra defensive positions, and he just recognizes that Spart1e wants to be pushing in. And he's meeting mano a mano and coming out on top. It is 7-6 though, still half the game remaining. It does feel that Spart1e has recognized he's not been winning as many of these engagements, has taken his foot off the pedal just a little bit, which is good, but now he needs to wrangle back control.
Halfway through this one frag difference between the two players here. Spart1e stacking back up off the Boneyard. He's not going to be anywhere near heavy. Might be able to get some machine gun damage on it as he sets up, and there's a little bit. A little bit goes a long way, and that's going to go a long way as well. It's that heavy machine gun getting good mileage out of it. Needs to be very careful jumping over the LG. Almost floated him here. The rocket just gives him a haircut. No more Mohawk for Anarchy as he pushes in LG, and there's the frag. Perfect cutoff in the red room, tied at 7.
Yeah. Now I would just like to see Spart1e peppering away at his opponent from range. Don't take the bait and push in too aggressively. Got a good stack advantage here. Really use it to advantage to consolidate the item pickups, and that's exactly what Spart1e's doing. Standing in that mid ground, not allowing Base to push out.
Base not getting a lot of mileage on these rockets. Unfortunately, totem does go down. Inject is available for Spart1e.
What a swap.
Doesn't quite need it. That was a good shotgun swap, and there's the cutoff in the red room. That's a lot of damage, but Base will survive as Spart1e doubles for the Mega. Now he needs to rotate through, and he has enough time to get to the heavy. So he puts on the brakes just a little bit, and still has inject, which is going to be huge for this fight here.
Yeah, Base not having the timing was crucial there. He did get away without taking any damage, but now he's in a precarious situation. Spart1e with the stack advantage, got the inject up as well. Totem comes up just as he needs it. Spart1e doesn't want to give away too much stack here. We'll play this as carefully as it needs to be. Great timing as well, just delaying Base's death to the point where he got a free Mega pickup as well. Perfect play from Spart1e.
Spart1e looking very solid right now as Base gets caught out. The Rocket's not landing quite what he needs. Base is 1 HP. There's no way. As he drops down into the Boneyard to try and fly back up, but the shotgun around the corner should finish it. Good defensive Rockets actually bullying Spart1e off.
Yeah, I was going to say that could have been a bad thing that he didn't actually die, but he's going to come away with the victory. No! Spart1e with the inject and the Mega looks very pretty here. Based in a good position, but there's a lot of time before this heavy, so he's going to be very risky for him to stand up here. Doesn't have timing, he's too early.
And it's by the grace of the Lord that he survived that long, in my opinion, as he was dead to rights, but somehow jumps back in with the Rockets. Can he finish this off? The totem is perfectly placed there. As he set up shot before, and Base is still really weak, and the shotgun will take him out before he can get the Mega, and now Spart1e is just pushing this lead exactly how he needs to. Injects back up. He could push off the spawn if he wants. Base does get Rockets, but already taking so much damage off the spawn.
He is, and Base's timing's actually not been on point this game so far, and it's been one of the key characteristics that's allowed Spart1e to generate this lead. There's 2 minutes to go, there's still a lot of time, but Spart1e just needs to make sure he does significant damage every time Base wants to push. You see him checking the doorways, he knows the timing. He's got himself control.
Now that Base has timing on the Mega, he has a decent stack. He just needs to deal some good damage, and that Rocket was fantastic, but he's going to get bullied off this 50 shard, and wow, that Rocket from Spart1e. Base is absolutely crippled. 13 HP. He's going to grab 225s and a totem, but time is of the essence here as he's down to about 120. Spart1e's going to keep the damage up as he's just locking him into this corner now. There's really nowhere for Base to go.
And he's just delaying, making sure that Base can't push out. He doesn't even need a frag here. Yep, he's not going to push into the corridor. He's done enough to win that Mega. Can progress onto this heavy as carefully as needs to be, going up to get the high ground position.
1 minute warning.
He's even taking away the light as well. He's just absolutely suffocating Base away from all these items. He's not even going to get that heavy, and that will win him this first map.
I don't think there's any way around it. Here's the Rockets off the spawn, catches him at Rockets. Spart1e says, thank you. I'll take another one. And this is a pretty great performance from Spart1e right out of the gate here.
Really is, and like I said, I wanted him to go aggressive, and he did. It verged onto the area of being too aggressive, and there was definitely a check in his momentum. The first minute or two, he was being hyper aggressive, full committal to every single frag, and Base did adjust to that very quickly, took up more defensive positioning, and in response to that, Spart1e himself became much more calculated in his approach play. So good play from Spart1e and fully deserved. Base couldn't play with the tempo that Spart1e was bringing with the Anarchy.
Yeah, really, really good play from Spart1e. And you mentioned this time and time again throughout this game. It's a matter of managing your resources. You know, don't give up a lot of stack if you don't have to. Don't let your opponent whittle you down. And after a while, like you said, Spart1e kind of committed for the first 2 minutes. Just all hands on deck. I'm going in, full commit. But after that, he started tempering his fights, saving his stack. And I think that's what won him the game ultimately. Also, Base and his mistimings didn't help at all.
Yeah, Base definitely looked a little bit rusty, but take nothing away from Spart1e. The way in which he was playing, that was pretty superb throughout. And there would have been a time and a place in a previous week where Spart1e might not have taken his foot off the pedal, or might have taken it off the pedal, 2-3 minutes later, by which point the game might have been out of reach, because it was slipping away from him as Base had adjusted himself as well. It was just that small check in his tempo, a couple of engagements that went his way, and he began to play the items a lot better than Base. And the momentum was strong.
Yeah, and there's another example right there of Base dropping in too early for the item. Spart1e's there, perfect damage, and there to take the frag. And the question is, does he carry this momentum onto map number 2, Ruins of Sarnath?
Yeah, that would be a very, very different map. Obviously, it is BJ, not Keel, so not as defensively poised as Base could have been. However, as much as we talk about the way in which Spart1e uses the rail, it really does enable a player like Base to be as defensive as he is, or can be, because it means he can play so positional, pick his opponent off with some cheeky rail angles, and then push in. It allows you to play extremely safe. And so I do feel that this game will actually reset itself to a bit more of a norm, as would be expected with Base. Emphasis, again, is still on Spart1e to pick up the tempo, but Spart1e's no stranger to playing slow if he needs to. I wouldn't advise it, though, because that would just play into Base's hands a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gamble trying to play base at his own game, but we'll see. I personally want to see Spart1e just spawn, go for rail, and just hit everything. But
Okay.
you know, you can't always get what you want. But
No.
Visor versus BJ. Visor's, of course, great on Runes of Star. Now that Vision's going to open up the map for him and kind of dictate where he can go and how he wants to attack. But we'll see exactly how he uses that. That's the brilliance of Spart1e, is you never know what you're going to get. It's going to be a hell of a party either way.
Yeah, and when he brings out performances like that, that looks so cultured. It's a joy to watch, particularly at the start of the series. He's a momentum-based player, so that'll definitely fill him with confidence moving forward.
Yeah, and I think Base is probably just taking a deep breath saying, all right, this is a bigger map, I could play it slower, I think I got this, which he very well might. But we will see if Spart1e can put on the pressure, or how, you know, maybe he falls back on that rail and just plays the chip game. We'll see.
It is Base's pick, and it's a fine balance here. If Spart1e does go too aggressive, it will certainly play into Base's hands, because he thrives on capitalizing on your mistakes and going down into these choke points. That's where he wants to take these fights. So Spart1e needs to play carefully. If he wants to play a rail game, I think Spart1e will be more than happy to do that as well.
We'll see, as we're going to go live on map number 2 of the set. Runes of Sarnath, we got Visor, we got BJ. Now, I want to see how many dual wield kills we're going to see. Chat, tally him up here as we start off on Spart1e. He's going to start off on that Mega. I like the hold on to the Vision, slight delay.
Yeah, allows him timing of that heavy as well, as he sees him going up the jump pad.
He's got the rail, that's all I wanted. I'm ready. As far as I'm concerned, Spart1e should be plus forwarding, but never mind what I want. Is he's going to try and make his way onto the rockets, just missing out on Base here, as Base is going to... I imagine he's going to hold that mid position most of this duel here, if Base has his way.
He knows that Base delayed the heavy, can get it on time. That is a full rocket though. Spart1e's in a bit of trouble. He's trying to escape here, and he wants to hit one more shot, which he does. Base is pretty low. Spart1e's going to drop back in for a cheeky return rail.
I like the idea a lot. Spart1e already playing fantastic, in my opinion, there. The idea to double back off the jump pad was fantastic. Just missed out on the rail, but now he has the full item cycle that he wants here. Base might try and lob some Tri-Bolt here, but it doesn't look like he's going to get much damage. And that's another free Mega for Spart1e, as he's going to double up on rockets, and that actually might make him late to the heavy, and it does.
Yeah, and the one thing is that without using that dual wield very much, Spart1e will have free reign at the time bar, so the uptime on piercing sight should be pretty high as well.
Yeah, constant vision is going to be a nightmare for Base here. As Spart1e, oh, he just could wait a little bit longer. The shoulder was too tempting there through the wall. Spart1e's like, well, damn it. Base knows now, and the LG from above the dual wield, he pegs him down, and wow, that's exactly what Base wanted there.
Oh no, not that spawn as well. He does steal away the heavies, gets something out of it, but almost certainly would be a kill to Base as he goes up the jump pad. Base is so low, but still gets the kill. The BJ passive will kick in, has a light armor to his name as well, but Spart1e has a rail.
I think Base may have heard that telly at the last second there, but he's going to give up the Mega. I don't know if he flipped the timing. It looks like he did here. He might have heard the pickup, and now he's, oh no, everything's gone horribly wrong. But it looks like a free heavy, actually.
Well, no, yeah, it was actually really smart play from Base, because he knew how weak he was, and that Spart1e off the spawn will want to be pushing aggressive, so doesn't want to challenge for that Mega, just backs off. It's a lot easier to play defensive down on that heavy area, multiple exits, good sound. And you can see him already setting up for the next Mega up in the choke point. And this is already Base's tempo.
Lob of Tri-Bolt from both players here, but the rail from Spart1e again, absolutely haunting Base here. That heavy pickup is going to be crucial, but now he's stuck as the Tri-Bolt constant volley from Spart1e, and he's going to be a merciful god and say, you know, there's the rest of the map that I want to take resources from. Let's base out for the time being. 10 seconds until Mega. As both players trying to set up positions now. More Tri-Bolt from Spart1e. Just pestering Base here. Good rail from Base, but it's going to make him drop down into the heavy area, and this is going to be a huge next fight as Spart1e comes down the back hall, and more Tri-Bolt again. Base is like, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, every time Base is making the right strategical decisions, but Spart1e's here with the one hitting the shots at the moment. That's
a great rail from Base there as he jumps on by. 4 seconds to the Mega. Is he going to try and rocket jump up? No, he just wants to get more resources here. So he hasn't really contested Mega at all. Again, like as you mentioned before, just too weak, doesn't have the position to even get there and try and fight for it. Now he's given up the Heavy as well. But this is kind of Base's thing, right? Play passive, you're up 2, 4 minutes in, and in his mind, he's like, I could do this for 6 minutes.
Yeah, and this is one of the maps to do it on for sure. You can see in which the way in which Base is playing. He only wants to take a fight in and around a choke point. If he can't do that, he will just retreat. Oh, popping the jewel really early. What dodging as well. Spart1e has to run with his tail firmly between his legs. Base is going to pick up the Mega and will get this Heavy as well. As Spart1e's not in a position to contest. He might drop down to do some damage, but Base is already waiting. It's dangerous. Base is still waiting.
Unfortunately for Base, no rockets, so the LG tickle was enough to scare Spart1e off as he just popped down to say hello, but through the telly, Spart1e waiting with the rockets, and the rail will finish him though, as he does decent damage, but not quite enough. Base takes that frag, 3-0, he's gonna extend the lead. He might even get another one here. Rocket almost hits the air rocket, swaps to the LG, tickles him down again, 4-0 at the halfway point, and I think he spotted him out right there at the very end, but he's gonna drop down safely for the Heavy and be okay with that. Big lead for Base right now.
And you can see the problem, and the Spart1e is so desperate to do any sort of damage, even with the piercing sight. A player like Base will just not give you the opportunity to take these free rail engagements. So you have to hit some pretty spectacular shots like that to do any sort of real damage, and he knows how low Base is. Base will be going down here. How does he get a mutual frag, though?
Now it's a race for the item here. Oh, just barely. Spart1e beats him and gets the God Spawn. He gets all the weapons, gets the Mega. He's going to be able to drop down and cut off for Heavy as well. It's very unfortunate for Base. Does have a rail, but he's going to miss that one. That's going to force him through the telly and trying to get this courtyard armor here. Heavy's still been up as Spart1e, just looking for frags. Oof. Wow, what a rail from Base as Spart1e drops down. Finally grabbing the Heavy. Base is still up by 4. 6 minutes have passed. And if Base wants to go full defensive, somehow that rail from down below is returned with an amazing rocket from Base. But that rail from Spart1e was immaculate from down below.
Incredible shots from both players, but that rocket really does sting. Nicely caught through the choke point. But that return rocket is also pretty strong. Spart1e's going to bully him ways down into the Heavy. He needs to take risks now with 4 minutes to go. Seems like a long time, but it's really not to get 4 frags against someone of Base's defensive prowess.
Little hit and run from Base, that's enough for him, as again, he's just playing the time game. He's not even dueling Spart1e, he's dueling the clock right now. Up 4, 3:30 left in this one.
You can see Spart1e responding in kind, not knowing where his opponent is. He can't afford to give away stack, has to play slow. He now knows where Base is, so feels more confident, but it's going to be a bit of a battle for this Mega, and Base says, no, you can have it for free, my friend.
Yeah, come into the shop, take what you want from our wares, I'll be on vacation. 3 minutes left, and Spart1e finally pops the vision, trying to track down his opponent here. As time is ticking, still 4 frags down. Needs to make something happen here, and Base is going to do everything in his power to make sure he's not even spotted. As far as he's concerned, for 3 minutes, if he doesn't see an opponent, that's fine.
Yeah, and as you said before, the battle is more against the clock than against the opponent now, and Base will do everything in his power to give the advantage to the clock. I mean, Spart1e probably knows where he is, but it's one of these things where what can you do? If you go into that choke point,
he's gone. He goes up the jump pad, he's out of there, yeah.
Exactly, like, it's a lose-lose. He's popped the piercing sight, you've realized Base still hasn't moved in the last minute and a half.
Look at this little Metal Gear Solid coming out here, sneaking around the eyeball. That's a good initial rocket, and the chase down works. 3 frags left, though. He's got to do that again at 2 minutes remaining, and he's got to put pedal to the metal while Base still doesn't have, you know, enough resources and enough weaponry to play that defensively. He's just going to run. There's the vision, and there's the chase, but this is exactly what Spart1e doesn't want. A foot race is not going to get him what he wants.
Yeah, and your point about him doing it before he gets weaponry is key, and Spart1e did take a risk by doubling back, and it didn't pay off. Space is still waiting in this choke point. He wants Spart1e to push, and that will be the game, unfortunately. You can see the problem for Spart1e. Once you let the game get away from you on a map like Ruins, there's just too many defensive possibilities here. And It is, again, Base that's been the one taking the initiative with the rail. We've been hyping Spart1e's rail all day long, and there's some amazing shots, but he's only hit 6. You know, all 6 are pretty spectacular, but he's only hit 6 because someone like Base just doesn't allow you to hit your shots.
Yeah, Base with the rockets to finish him off. As Spart1e tries the shotgun rail approach here. Base still on 25 HP, but even if Spart1e catches him out and gets this frag, which he does, still down 4 with a minute left, this one is done and dusted, CSX.
Yeah, it's not pretty, but it's effective.
Oh, I'm sure some of chat doesn't like the way Base plays it, but I mean, you win, you play to win, and that's what Base has done here. Whether you agree with the strategy or not, if it works, it works. And there's a rail from Spart1e. He's going to drop down and try and chase. There's a good defensive rail from Base. LG from around the corner, that'll get him another one. 30 seconds, 3 frags. It'll take a miracle.
Yeah, still Spart1e pushes on. He's not going to concede. He will play it till the end, which is exactly what you want to see.
It's a really good rail. He can actually drop down and maybe catch him out again, but the heavy will go to Base. That's unfortunate. The LG, is it enough? And it is. The defensive shaft. Long, strong, down to get the friction on. Looks like 8-4 is going to be the final for here. Maybe a little bit more. Just a little. Peppered in there. Oh, he tried to hit him with a gauntlet. 9-4 for Base. That's kind of what we expected, a little bit. I mean, in terms of the play style, maybe not the scoreline, but that was Base to a T.
And that's kind of what we feared from the start, really, is that if Spart1e overextends, he's going to be walking straight into Base's hands, and that's exactly what we saw for the large part of that game. Base managing the choke points better, managing the tempo better, and just playing an all-round more effective game. Spart1e walking into him, wasn't able to pick up the tempo or hit the shots he really needed to, and you know, by 4 minutes in, the game was slipped away from him. We had a 3-4 frag lead for Base, and unfortunately for Spart1e, that was the deciding scoreline in the end of it. Again, that, for instance, is a needless frag to give away, and against Base, you cannot be giving away any free frags whatsoever. It just puts that pressure even more on you to take these bigger risks.
Yeah. Very fortunate, and here we see him catching him out, and this could have been the start of something beautiful, but on a map this big, it's very hard to run the spawns. This isn't Corrupted Keep, so a little bit of luck on the spawns needs to go your way so you can catch him out and try and, you know, accumulate or come back from a deficit there. But 9-4, put it in the books. Base takes map number 2, and we're going to go to map number 3 for the decider. Awoken, it'll be Strog versus Doom. And it should be a good one. Doom, very versatile with a double jump, fantastic at dodging rockets, but also traversing the maps. Strog, of course, very, very fast, very mobile. And that peeker, we have seen players do amazing things with that peeker, and I wonder if Spart1e can be one of those. Adding to the highlight reel. Someone out in chat has to be making a peeker-only frag highlight reel, and I can't wait to see it.
Free content ideas right there. You should be charging for that, Spart1e.
I'm just saying. It's got to be out there. It's got to be out there.
I mean, Awoken, of everything left in the pool, is probably the one you would give Spart1e a good fighting chance on to pull out a result. It is a map he can dictate the tempo more effectively on than a Ruins, but it still is a map where Base can play incredibly defensive, particularly with Doom at his disposal. But it's going to be as even as can be. I'm still going to side with Base, but I think this will be a bit closer than we saw in Ruins.
Yeah, I think this one could be really good. I mean, the ability to pop off and gain momentum early is absolutely here for Spart1e. We're going to see if he puts, you know, all his resources kind of front-loading into, I want to get a huge lead and I just want to keep the pressure on, or if he's going to play a little bit slower after what just happened in Ruins. Map's a little bit smaller. It lends itself to more spawn fragging potentially, but as you said, Base can kind of make anything a passive game if he wants to. So we'll see. With the Doom specifically, I think a lot of escaping is available as well. So he doesn't necessarily need to make door frames, you know, the enemy. He can kind of just get out with a double jump from LG up to Tribolt, getting out without using the jump pad, from rockets up to T-Con, things like that. So we'll see if the double jump plays a huge role in this one, or if Spart1e can just rail away like an Enya song here. But this is going to be at map number 3, the decider between Spart1e and Base. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it is a map where it's deceiving sometimes, where you feel that you have your opponent on the ropes, you rush them, and then suddenly you're down a frag, and that's what Spart1e has to be a bit wary of. He has got the spawn here without the weaponry, so he's in a bit of a predicament here, but some good Tribolt damage coming out, an early peeker as well through the teleporter, but nice retaliation from Base, who's just holding his position there, still with a rocket in hand.
Spart1e says, I don't need anything but the Tri-Bolt, maybe a little bit of LG there. He takes that fight pretty aggressively there. Goes through the telly, a little bit of rocket spam, but items will be traded for both players here. Still no frag yet. Oh, this is bad for Spart1e as he's cornered. The rail from base will miss. He wants another one. The Tri-Bolt again coming out from Spart1e. Getting a lot of damage off of it. The rocket and the rail. Rail will land. Base gets floated into the corner, but oh my god, that rocket almost gets him.
Oh dear. Basey boy. That's not the play. This is though.
Shotgun. Wow, that cutoff. And yeah, the Doom jump, fantastic, very versatile. Also can lead you to your death as you get floated there. Base is going to jump right in here, and he might get taken out. There's a great rocket, 53 HP on Spart1e as both players about even. The jump rail will miss just barely, missing out on that frag here. Spart1e, again, keeping the pressure on, but needs to be careful. Doesn't really have the right weaponry. No LG at his disposal. And here comes Base around the corner, double jumping his way into Spart1e's heart and also into the frag lead by 1. But right in the nick of time, that rocket just gets put straight in Base's pocket, and the Mega is Spart1e's. That is what you want to see. 2-2, and yeah, this is kind of what we thought, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Base is actually being a lot more progressive than I would imagine he's being. And once again, he's caught in the corner, but this time he does come out just on top. There is a long time before the item's up there, so Spart1e will be going aggressive, but Base actually cuts him off, realizing that he's in a bit of trouble, goes aggressive himself. Nice play from the Russian. He's going to be missing out on the Mega, though, as he's worked his way out of position. He will be in time to pick up this heavy. Nice retaliation from Spart1e. The Doom comes out, and it's not enough.
Just punching air there, unfortunately, as that rail will miss the Tri-Bolt. Shaky aim from Spart1e after eating a volley of Tri-Bolt, and that could have sent Base flying off the map, but instead we're tied at 3, 2:30 in. Spart1e making his way around the corner, drive by rail, tries to hit another one, but melted down to 11 HP with that LG, and the chase is going to be enough as Base finishes that frag. 4-3, and Spart1e gets an unfortunate spawn. Needs to be very careful here. As the Pika comes out, can he land some damage? And he does. Base. Shaft is not enough. Heavy machine gun coming out. Base with a good rail. Tries to get a follow-up here. And Spart1e's just hanging in there. No fear right now. And Base will finish that off and punish appropriately.
Did a decent amount of damage. That push was worth it, but now giving away another frag, not so much. Base is very low, but he will be able to fall back and stack up as he does hit Spart1e on the other side of the map. He's not going to be able to contest for this Mega, but picked himself a couple of extra frags, kept himself alive, will be able to deal some damage onto this heavy as well. Oh no, he hits Spart1e. Spart1e's out of time for that. Space sneaks away with the item. A little bit of a misplay from Spart1e there, and a big lifeline for Base.
Yeah, so Base down to 25 HP, turns it around, steals the heavy, has a decent stack, a little bit weak right now, but all in all, that went pretty perfect for Base. Oh, this is a peeker to the face there as the follow-up rail almost lands as well. Spart1e evening out the stacks, the Tri-Bolt landing for Base. Wow, that rocket. Well done from Spart1e as he grabs the Mega too, and this should be a frag here as he hits a rail, and now he just has to chase through the banana. There's another rail at 225, saving Base's life. He's down to 17 HP, just about 6 actually. Spart1e trying to find him for one shotgun blast to the chest.
You can see that Base is really struggling with the tempo coming out from Spart1e. Yes, he has the lead at the moment, but when Spart1e has that stack and picks up the space, then Base is really, really struggling. He's the one desperate to make this game become a bit more methodical. Oh no!
Oh, that pole saved his life. Spart1e, very fortunate here.
Oh no, Spart1e!
How does that happen? Base down to 25 HP, down to 6 HP, both times surviving and coming out on top with the frag. That is just insane. The patience from Base.
Yeah, we've seen since they got to 6-3 after that brief episode of chaos that Base has managed to add a bit more structure to this duel. Spart1e's the one currently running the items, but Base is the one that's controlling the positioning. He's got Spart1e on a little bit of a string at the moment. Feels like Spart1e's in control, but he's somewhat allowing him to make these pushes and doing a real amount of damage every time Spart1e does.
Oh, that's the wrong weapon choice, Spart1e, as he gets pushed around with the LG and the rail to cap it off. 8-3 as we hit the 5-minute mark here. Base starting to run away with this, and Spart1e is just full on gas, still trying to make things happen. There's the peeker play, dealt with nicely there. Spart1e drops down. All he's got is a shotgun and a rail. Shotgun from that close is going to be fantastic. Is he going to chase? And he does, and he can't get away. The Berserk won't save Base's life. So not a bad start to a potential comeback. Here's the Mega's taken as well. 15 seconds till the Heavy, but he really needs rockets as he... Wow, what a rail from Spart1e. Almost hits a follow-up. Base trying to defend, but the shotgun is enough, and he gets a free rocket launcher out of it. Thanks, Base.
Wasn't the cleanest kill in the world, but it was good. Hasn't got himself the item though, and Base gets himself out of there. Unfortunately, jumps all the way over. He's going to go in aggressive with the shotgun. Unexpected from Spart1e's point of view.
You hate to see it. That was two crazy rocket jumps from Base, and then he comes up the jump pad and says, "Supplies!" And then Spart1e blows himself to smithereens.
Yeah, but that was actually a really bad frag for Spart1e because it gave Base a free item. Put him in a perfect position. What a rocket to rail combo that was.
Wow.
Ouch.
That was gorgeous from Base.
You can see this game slipping out of control for Spart1e now as Base is the one that's really dominating the map now. Tempo, items, positioning. Spart1e, you can see the desperation creeping in now. The time is slipping away. There's already 3 minutes to go. And it's looking bleak as the shots become even better from the Russian as well.
And that rocket through the drive-through window saves his life, but he fights for the Heavy. Doesn't really have a choice at that point. But that's going to be 7 frags down now for Spart1e. Getting more and more insurmountable here as Base just takes that frag for free. Says thank you very much. 11-3. 3 minutes left. And Spart1e fans have to be a little sad in the chat.
Yeah, Base has got a big split on the items now. You can see him, because of that split, it's much harder for Spart1e to be as aggressive as he wants. And Base is just taking these early positions and choke points, allowing Spart1e to skittle his way in. And yeah, it does feel pretty hopeless for Spart1e at this point with a 9 frag deficit, 2.5 minutes to go. He needs to hit some insane shots multiple times. That's a start, but he's left pretty low. I have to say, both of these players have been very bad at using their abilities. Questionable Pika plays throughout from Spart1e.
Yeah, leaving himself extremely vulnerable here. Can he hit the rail? Doesn't. Nice. Base gets the best of him there. Is he maybe a celebration on the Heavy there from Base?
A little bit.
A little bit of a dance move. Can he hit another one? And Base throws it up now. Starting to land all the rails. Everything's going his way. 62% for Spart1e, 52 for Base respectively, but with a 10 frag lead, I don't think he's going to mind the difference as Base takes out Base all over Spart1e's face. But, I mean, this one is done. What do you do from here? Spart1e very weak. Through the telly comes Base, and that electrifying shaft will add another frag to his collection.
You asked for a recount because this is not going his way.
This is just brutal. This is, it started off so close, 2-2. Spart1e was looking good, high flying around the map, and then all of a sudden, Base takes it.
It was that interlude in the middle where it got up to 6-3, where Spart1e gave away 2 frags in a row. One was pretty unfortunate, then there was a follow-up that was a little bit easy for Base. And from there on out, you felt the momentum shift very quickly.
Man.
And Base got good control of the map. Spart1e was running the items, but Base was... It felt like he just suddenly read his opponent. He understood what Spart1e was doing, was taking better positions, and Spart1e was suffering.
Base just staring down his victim from up above, just relentless with these rockets. He doesn't care that it's already won. He wants more frags. And to me, there was 2 crucial moments in this game where Base was knocked down to 25 HP and nothing, as well as 6, and Spart1e did not close those frags. Instead, he let Base stack back up, steal an item or 2, and then after those 2 encounters, Base actually took that frag, and I think it took it 7-3, and that to me is insane. Absolutely insane.
And you can see the difference between this map and the first is that Spart1e played it very similar way. He tried to play tempo, this one with the rail, the first one without. But the difference is on map 1, luck went his way a little bit. He got control and then he checked himself. He played a much more sustainable tempo and controlled the map much better. Whereas this one, luck didn't go his way and he was then forced to chase the map. So pretty unfortunate in that aspect, but really well deserved from Base. I just love watching Base because he plays the maps the way they should be played. It's super methodical. He does the basics extremely well, and he follows it up with some perfect decision making and aim to boot.
Yeah, like you said, if the strategy is always going to be there with base, but if he's hitting his shots, it's almost impossible to overcome that
Mm.
defense, the strategy, and the aim. Just an all-around fantastic display from base there. But you got to hand it to Spart1e. There was glimmers of hope there. Great start on the first map, and then it all just went horribly wrong, unfortunately for him. A little bit too much
That was
gas, but
nice.
that float was beautiful. Yeah, a little bit of the Pennywise there as he makes him float, but the cutoff with the shotgun, and then it was all just kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that cutoff with the shotgun is a perfect example of how smart base is in really situations, right? That's a pretty aggressive move to go in off the spawn after you just died and your opponent's pretty healthy, but an understanding of what's gonna of how it's gonna play out essentially. So the way in which base reads situations is definitely top tier.
Just that combo, rocket, rail, a bit of a highlight rail here. And questionable peeker plays as well. We saw earlier in the highlights that he just popped the peeker and base was like, okay, this is free. He had him in the corner, a couple rockets, no problem. So yeah, the ability usage a little bit sus maybe. Base again.
Yeah.
Most Doom players, we rarely see the punches actually lead to frags. So Doom base kind of used Doom's berserk just to get away. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But you know, all I'm saying is let's try and get more punch frags. That's what I'm saying. I want to see people go berserk more. But there are the stats for base throughout the series here, as he'll take it 2-1. And you were right, starting off the day right, ZSX.
Yeah, it was. I felt it was going to be a 2-1. I did say potentially 3-0, but it played out as expected and pretty interesting. We big up Spart1e's rail, but it wasn't his rail that won the day. It was the way he won the map was by playing really smart, quick Quake.
Yep, base got it done. And that's done and dusted for series number 1 of the day, but we got a whole lot more Quake coming your way, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Quake action.